to this week's dynamic practice. It's called Partially Primary Series, and it is based off of the Ashtanga primary series. Please have a block and a strap at the ready. So the Ashtanga sequence, it's all fine and good. I find that there are some ways to improve it for myself. So obviously I am in no, I don't have the authority to change the sequence officially, but for myself, I've made this practice more symmetric. There's more symmetric poses, especially in the standing sequence, and they're more evenly distributed throughout the standing sequence. Longer holds, typically in Ashtanga, you're holding most poses for about 5 breaths. I think longer holds give you a chance to incorporate the pose. There's also less jumping around, and also I think there's a more and better warm-up in this particular practice. The Ashtanga sequence starts with a sun salutation, A, forward folded, and for myself, at least, I need a little bit more warm-up than that. Okay, great. So we're going to start seated today, and we're starting with the right shin in front of left. I'm going to mirror you, so this is my left shin, but you're going to start with your right shin in front of left, and so here's your Sukhasana. Slide your sitting bones back, and exhale, you're going to reach forward, and press your heels out a little bit. Sitting bones back, you can lean as far forward as you'd like, and start tapping into your breathing. Breathe in and out through the nose, if that feels available. And as we forward fold, we are opening up outer thighs, outer hips, getting some initial rounding of the spine. And there's another few breaths here. Okay, great. And then inhale, come back up, and then from here we're going to twist to the right. So you're going to roll your skin of navel to the right. Right hand can go behind you on your block if you'd like. Left hand to other thigh. Inhale, you're going to arch your back, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, roll your navel strongly to the right. And there's several breaths here in our first twist. So deep breath in, big exhale. On every inhale, you can invite some engagement in low back to lift your lungs. And on exhale, you rotate navel to the right, heart to the right. And 2 more breaths here. Okay, great. And then de-rotate, come back to center, and lean back a little bit to switch your legs, left shin in front of right. And we'll repeat those 2 practices on the other side. Sitting bones back, take a deep breath in. And then exhale, you tilt forward, sitting bones slide back. And once you get your sitting bones as far back as they go, you can round your spine as much or as little as you'd like. And take a couple breaths here, in and out through nose. And for me, I like breathing into my lower back on this one. You can press your heels out a little bit to start activating legs. And 2 or 3 more breaths here. Start warming up outer thighs, outer hips, and low back. Okay, great. And then as you inhale, make your way up. Lengthen up through the lungs as you inhale. Now we're going to twist to the left. You're going to roll your navel to the left. Your left hand can come behind you, either on the floor or on a block. Press down to the floor of the block. Other hand comes across. You can use your arms on this one. Inhale, you arch your back a little bit to lift your lungs. And then exhale, roll your navel strongly to the left. And of course your heart will follow. And so first big twist to the left. Breathe. In and out through the nose, so we're warming up our diaphragm, breathing muscle, warming up our spine in various ways. And 2 more breaths here. in. Big exhale. Okay, great. And then you come back to center. Great, so that was warming up thighs through low back. I now want to warm up the perimeter. So come through hands and knees. And you're going to curl your toes under and you're going to sit towards your heels. And this is going to warm up the soles of our feet. Okay? If it feels like you'd like to stay here, you don't want to come up to sit on your heels, keep your hands down, spread your fingers wide, and press your knuckles into the floor, but lift your wrists up off the floor. We're going to do a significant amount of sun salutations, which means our hands are going to be on the ground. And so I would like to warm up our palms as well as the soles of our feet. So it's plantar fascia in the feet, palmar fascia in the hands. You can stay here, press your toes down, press your fingerprints down. If you're able to take more weight onto heels, interlace your fingers and get a palm stretch by pressing your palms up toward the ceiling and widening your palms as much as you can. Okay, so it's either here, breathe into your side waists, or here, you can breathe in the back body, but we're inhaling, exhaling through nose. 2 or 3 more breaths here. Okay, great. And then come through hands and knees, wiggle your toes around a little bit. And then you're going to curl your toes under and lift your upper thighs into downward facing dog. Drive your hands through the floor, lift your upper thighs back. Upper thighs lift back and up, heels press back and down. And several breaths, first big stretch of back body, particularly hamstrings and calves. That's what the primary series focuses on, is forward folds. So another good warm up before sun salutations. And 2 or 3 more breaths here. Take a big inhale, big exhale. And one last time, take a deep breath in. Okay, and then from there you can bend your knees, step up to the top of the mat. You can drive your feet down, glutes down, lungs lift up overhead, and take a breath or two here in our Tadasana, mountain pose. Shoulder blades down the back, drive your feet through the floor. And so we'll be doing 5 sun salutation A's and 5 sun B's. I have modified them a little bit, so if you're very familiar with the Ashtanga sequence, there's an extra breath in plank, so you can hold plank a little longer for arm strength. But otherwise, it'll be rather familiar. So let's start with sun salutation A's. Drive your feet through the floor, reach your arms up overhead, take a huge inhale here. Bend your knees a little bit. Pubic bone back and forward fold. Big forward fold here. Inhale, engage your low back, look forward. Plant your hands. Exhale, step or hop back into plank position. We're going to stay here on an inhale. Inhale here, and then exhale, you can lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Let's get into our first big back bend. Draw your shoulder blades into the back, cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale, your upper thighs lift into downward facing dog. And we'll spend 5 breaths here. So huge inhale. Big exhale, through nose if possible. Deep breath in. Big exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And twice more. Exhale. Deep breath in. And as you exhale, step forward, jump up to the top of your mat. When you get there, drive your feet down and come part way up. Squeeze the muscles in your low back a bit. Exhale, you refold. And then drive your feet through the ground, arms up in the air, huge inhale here. And exhale from there, palms to heart center and by your sides. All right, and then from here, sun salutation number 2. Reach your arms up overhead. Side waist nice and long. Bend your knees a little bit. Pubic bone back and you forward fold. Inhale, you come part way up. Squeeze the muscles in your low back. And then plant your hands. Step or hop back into plank position. And I hold plank on an inhale. So drive your hands through the floor. On exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale, lift up into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale into downward facing dog. And I'll be counting breaths in downward facing dog. If you need to breathe faster or slower than me, go ahead. It doesn't have to be 5. It just has to be some time in downward facing dog as you're lifting inner thighs up, heels back. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale. In breath. Exhale. In breath. Yeah, inner upper thighs lift high. Exhale. Inner upper thighs lift for a big back of the leg stretch. Deep breath in. And then your next exhale, bend your knees and step or hop up to the top of your mat. We're in a forward fold. Inhale, come part way up. Exhale, you refold. Drive your feet through the floor. Arms reach up toward the ceiling. Top of the inhale is the top of the breath. Exhale, and hands by side. Sun salutation number 3. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Bend your knees, pubic bone back, and you sweep forward. Engage the muscles of your back and shoulder blades that come part way up. And then exhale, drive your hands through the floor, step or hop back into plank. Take a huge inhale, driving hands through floor. And then exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. And then exhale, upper thighs lift into downward facing dog. And I'll count out 5. Breathe as you wish. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. And breath in. Exhale. In breath. Exhale. Drive your heels back. Lift your toes up. Twice more. Inhale. Big exhale. And one last time. Breath in. Okay, and bend your knees. Step or hop up to the top of your mat. Feet through the floor. Inhale, come part way up. Exhale, you round. And then all the way up, drive your feet through the floor, arms up to the ceiling. Exhale, palms come through heart center. By your sides, sun salutation number 4. Inhale. Exhale, your forward fold. And try to expand the breath. Inhale, slightly deeper inhale. Exhale, back to plank position. Get all the air out so you have a deeper inhale. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale into downward facing dog. And there's 5 breaths here. Inner upper thighs lift. Inhale. Keep them up. Exhale, press your heels back. Because it looks like you're trying to stand up from here with the power of your upper thighs. Big exhale. Deeper breath still. Inhale. Exhale. In breath. Exhale. And one last deeper inhale. On your exhale, step or hop up to the top of your mat. Take a mighty inhale as you come forward. Empty out your lungs as you fold. And let's come all the way up. Inhale here. And exhale, palms to heart center and by your sides. So yeah, keep the breathing practice as like a primary focus, particularly for this last sun salutation. We will need to take deeper breaths in our sun salutation B's. So we can practice it here. One last time. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale as you forward fold. Inhale. Exhale. Plant hands, go back to plank. Take an inhale in plank. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. Huge exhale, downward facing dog. And treat this as a breathing practice in a pose. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Breath in. Exhale. Breath in. Exhale. And one last time. Okay, bend your knees. Exhale, step or hop up to the top of your mat. Drive your feet down and come part way up. Deep breath in. Exhale, you forward fold. Drive your feet through the floor, arms up overhead. Inhale. And exhale, palms come through heart center and by your sides. Okay, so yeah, the sun salutation B's, which we're now getting into, there are deeper breaths. There's a couple movements per breath. We might slow the first sun B down a little bit so we can sort of get the vinyasa. So we're leading the breath with the movements. Starting with a chair, which I like sitting way down as I reach my arms up. Sit down as much as you can. Feet press through the floor, then upper thighs toward the floor. Reach your arms up toward the ceiling. That's inhale. Front spine nice and long. And then exhale, lift thighs into forward fold. Inhale, come part way up. Exhale, plant hands, step or hop back to plank. So this is all the, this is familiar. Inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale into upward facing dog. And now from here, you're going to exhale. It's like you're coming into downward facing dog, but you're also drawing your right foot forward between your hands. Plant your back heel. You can take an extra breath here, although eventually we will just be doing that all on an exhale. And then as you inhale, arms sweep up into warrior one. We'll take an extra breath here on either side as well. So you drive your heel down, inhale, lift your lungs. And now exhale, plant your hands back to plank. Inhale into plank. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale into upward facing dog. And again, exhale, it's like you're lifting into the downward facing dog, but left foot forward. We'll take an extra breath here too. Inhale here, plant your back heel. Exhale, the next time you breathe in, come up to warrior one. Okay, get a sense of the warrior one here. We will be doing this as a posture later. Okay, but you take a deep breath in. And then exhale, plant your hands. Inhale, extra breath in plank. And then exhale, lower down halfway or all the way. Inhale into cobra or upward facing dog. And now we exhale, lift both thighs back into downward facing dog. All right, so deeper breaths in. Big exhale. We have 4 more of those. Inhale. Exhale. Breath in. Exhale. Twice more. Exhale. And one last time. And exhale, step or hop up to the top of your mat. Once you're there, inhale, come part way up. Exhale, fold. Now when we reach our arms up, our thighs are going to drop down to the floor in chair. So thighs toward the floor, arms up toward the ceiling. And then as you exhale, come into mountain pose. Take a breath here. So for those who are completely unfamiliar with Sun Salutation B, that's it. There's more to it. There's a couple extra poses in there. For those who are familiar with it, apologies for the extra breaths and that stuff. I like to move through these slower. And so for me, taking an extra breath makes it even more of a breathing practice. So I hope you follow me on that, okay? Because we have 4 more to go. Let's try it out. You're gonna take the upper thighs toward the floor. Arms sweep up overhead. Take a huge inhale into Utkatasana. And then exhale, inner thighs lift up toward the ceiling and forward fold. Inhale, come part way up. Plant your hands. Exhale, go back into plank. Take a deep breath in plank. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Tops of feet on the floor. Inhale, come to cobra or upward facing dog. And now exhale, you're lifting your thighs back but bringing right foot forward. And that's all on the exhale. Back heel plants. Inhale, come up to warrior one. And then exhale, you plant your hands. And strongly inhale, go back into plank position. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, tops of feet on the floor into cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, thighs lift back, but left foot comes forward. Plant your back heel and inhale, back body engages to reach up into warrior one. Exhale, plant your hands. And then inhale, strong plank, drive your hands through the floor. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lungs forward and up. And exhale, upper thighs into downward facing dog. Now we get a chance to take 5 breaths. Take a big inhale. Huge exhale. Deep breath in and again. So you're trying to lift your upper thighs back as far as you can. Imagine using the power of your upper thighs to try to stand up from here. Of course, gravitationally that's impossible, but energetically you're trying. It gets a nice long spine. Let's take one more breath in. And then exhale, bend your knees, step or hop up to the top of your mat. When you get there, inhale, come part way up. Exhale, you refold. And then as your arms sweep up toward the ceiling, upper thighs drop toward the floor in chair, Utkatasana. And then drive your feet through the floor in mountain pose. pose. All right, sun salutation B, number 3. Bend your knees, arms sweep up overhead, upper thighs to floor, and then exhale, inner thighs lift up toward the ceiling. Inhale, come part way up, hands plant, you step or hop back into plank position, hold that there, drive your hands through the floor, extra arm work, exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up, and then exhale as you're lifting your thighs back, right foot comes forward, back heel plants, arms sweep up overhead, feel the power of your back body as you reach up, and then exhale, plant your hands. Inhale, go back into plank position, deep breath in, and exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up, and exhale as you lift your thighs back, left foot comes forward, back heel plants, squeeze the muscles of your back body to reach up into warrior one. Exhale, plant your hands. Inhale, go back into plank. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down, tops of feet on the floor. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up. And then exhale, upper thighs into downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Take an inhale. Big exhale. Breath in. Exhale. Breath in. Exhale. Less weight in hands, more weight in feet. Inhale. Exhale. And take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, bend your knees, step or hop up to the top of your mat. Come part way up, take a deep breath in. And exhale, you refold. And drop your thighs, reach your fingertips. Huge inhale into Utkatasana. And then exhale, come into Tadasana, mountain pose. All right, bend your knees, drop your thighs down, reach your arms up. Inhale, sun B number 4. Exhale, you forward fold. Inhale, come part way up. Exhale, plant your hands, step back into plank position. Take a huge inhale here. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up. And then exhale as your thighs go back, your right foot comes forward. Back heel plants. Take a huge inhale here. And exhale, plant your hands again. Inhale, go back into plank. Drive your hands through the floor. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift into cobra or upward facing dog. And as you exhale, thighs back, but left foot forward. Back heel down. Inhale, arms sweep up overhead. Huge exhale, get it all out, hands to the floor. Inhale, back into plank position. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up. And exhale, upper thighs into downward facing dog. All right, hands, deep breath in. Exhale, upper thighs lift back. 4 more of these. Inhale, big exhale. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And twice more, breath in. Big exhale. And deep breath in. Okay, and then bend your knees, step or hop up to the top of your mat. Once you're there, inhale, look forward, lengthen up through belly. Exhale, you refold. And then we're going to drop the thighs down, arms sweep up overhead. Take a huge inhale here. And then exhale, come into mountain pose. All right, and one last sun B. You're going to drop your upper thighs down, arms sweep up overhead. Huge inhale here. Exhale, you're going to forward fold. Upper thighs lift. Inhale, you lengthen your spine. Exhale, plant your hands and go back to plank position. Take a huge inhale here. Drive your hands through the floor. Exhale, lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lift into upward facing dog. And then as you lift your thighs back, right foot comes forward between hands. Back heel plants. Squeeze your back body to come up into warrior one. And then exhale, plant your hands. Inhale, go back into plank position. Exhale, lower halfway down. Inhale, lift your lungs forward and up. And exhale, upper thighs lift. Left foot comes forward, right foot back. Take the deepest inhale yet into warrior one. Exhale, plant your hands. Go back into plank, hold plank for that extra inhale. And then exhale, you lower halfway down or all the way down. Inhale, lengthen heart center forward and up. And then exhale now into downward facing dog. And we hold down dog for 5 breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale. in, exhale, breath in, exhale, and twice more, breath in, exhale, and one last. And as you exhale, bend your knees, step or hop up to the top of the mat. Inhale, squeeze your lower back muscles, come part way up. Exhale, refold. And then you come up into chair pose, upper thighs drop, reach your fingertips up. And then you press your hips forward, come up into Tadasana. All right, take a couple breaths here. I like those vinyasas. They're very heat building, and it also helps tap into the breathing, so we can really make this a breathing practice that we happen to be in different postures for. I believe that's a good yoga policy. So again, I'm now going to mirror you again. This is triangle, the next pose. Right toes point to the right, and so the next two postures get the lateral lines in our body. So right toes point forward. The heel's going to go a little further back than the toes. And I'm going to demonstrate with a block. You don't have to, but you don't have to use it. But you're going to cut your front hip underneath the back, and take your hand down to the block or to the shin or to the floor. And you're going to roll your navel up toward the ceiling. Reach your arm up, and really, as you roll your belly up, you press your back heel down, and that gives you this nice stretch down the outside body, which I like working from the outside in my practice. We'll do a couple practices here. So yeah, you roll your navel up, drive your back heel down, and breathe into your top kidney space a few times here. So it might be more than 5 breaths. Ashtangis are used to just being here for 5 breaths. I like spending a little more time in the postures to merge our experience with the posture itself. So one last time here, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, hand goes down to hand to hip. Inhale, come up, bend your knees a little bit, and let's switch sides. So left toes point left, back heel roots into the floor, and you're gonna cut front hip underneath your back hip. Hand goes down to your shin, or to the block, or to the floor. But really, it doesn't matter how far the hand goes down. What matters, for me in triangle, is to roll the navel up and to tap into this lateral line on the outside of your back leg here. So navel rolls up toward the ceiling, reach your top arm up toward the ceiling, and breathe into your top kidney, breathe into your right kidney. 3 or 4 more breaths here. Okay, great. And then from here, you're going to come up, hand to hip, press all the way back up, bend your knees, and go back to the first side. Take a wider stance for side angle. Heels a little further back than it was in triangle. It makes grounding that outer heel more difficult. And we're going to bend our right knee out to the right. You can take your forearm to thigh. I'll use a block to the outside of my leg. Press my thigh into there, or you can take your hand to the floor. But from here, just like in triangle, you're going to roll your navel up toward the ceiling, reach your arm up overhead, and this time take it by your ear for a more global, a more comprehensive stretch down your left side. So as your top fingers reach overhead, your back heel rolls back and down, back and down, back and down, and you breathe through this whole left lateral line a few more times. Take an inhale, big exhale, take a deep breath in, big exhale, and one last time, take a deep breath in. Okay, great, and then from here, you can take the block with you, come up, bend knees a little bit, switch sides. Now your left toes point out to the left. Back heel, your right heel goes a little further out, and you bend your front knee. So this is setting the stage for side angle, either forearm to the thigh, in which case you don't need a block to floor on the outside, or you can just take your hand to the floor, doesn't matter. You're going to press your front leg into your arm, roll your navel up toward the ceiling, and then reach your arm not only up overhead, but you're going to connect the sideline even more profoundly here. It's also hard to get the outside edge of that back heel into the ground. So outer ankle stretch, lateral line, the sort of body brackets, the sheathing. We're opening that up first here. Breathe into your right side. Roll navel up. Get more stretch in the right. Breathe into it. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. Great. Hand comes back to hip. Come all the way back up. And then from here, point both toes in. Come in a little bit. For a standing wide-legged fold, I break the wide-legged forward folds up into a couple different parts. Here's the symmetry. So we were asymmetric for a while. Now we're symmetric. You bend your knees, pubic bone back, heart forward. And the first arm variation we're going to take is hands to the floor. Drive your feet through the floor. Inner thighs lift up like we've been doing in downward facing dog in our sun salutations. Inhale here, and then exhale. You can bend your elbows back and round your spine. So this is a distinctly dorsal stretch. By dorsal, I mean back of legs, across the sacrum, spinal rounding. And we're holding this for 7 or 8 breaths. Breathe here a lot. Lift your inner upper thighs a little higher. And without falling forward, tilt your hips forward just a little. You can keep your hands where they are. Elbows still traveling through your legs, but if you tilt your hips forward just a little, you'll create this like link of stretch down the whole back body. So 2 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Big exhale. Inhale one last time. Okay. Great. And then from here, come up part way. From here, peace fingers. First 2 fingers, you're going to take hold of your big toes. Drive your feet through the floor. It's almost like you're trying to pull up. And that helps you hinge your elbows out to the sides. This gives you more of an upper body dorsal rounding. So I like this arm variation for the mid-back in particular. So elbows go out to sides now, rather than through the legs. The elbows go out to the sides, which helps expand your back body, back torso, between shoulder blades and along the spine in 2 directions at once, because it helps you forward fold. And your elbows out to the sides, they protract your shoulders, so you get more stretch in your mid-back from left to right as well. Inner thigh still lifting up, and there's 3 more breaths here. Take a big inhale. Exhale. In breath. Exhale. And inhale. Okay. Great. And then from here, hands can come to the floor. Bend your knees a little bit. Heel toe yourself closer together still. And then from there, you can come all the way up to standing. Arms sweep up overhead. And exhale from there, release. All right, so from here, grab your block if your hamstrings feel a little bit tight today. We're going to come into pyramid next. So I am no longer mirroring. I'm going to step my right foot forward. Also step your right foot forward, please. So right foot forward, left foot back. It's not as far back as in triangle. This is a closer stance. And that's so we can turn your hips forward toward your right foot. Okay? And just like we did in our sun salutations, pubic bone back, heart forward, you can fold over your right leg. And so here's pyramid. And this is option 1 with hand on block. I currently have my right hand on my hip because the tendency is for this hip to kind of want to go out to the side and forward. So draw your right inner thigh back. Inhale here, and then if you'd like to, you can round your spine. Hands can go down to the floor. Okay? And that's option number 1. Or if you'd like, you can take hands onto hips. That's option number 2. Or if you'd like, you can interlace your fingers. And option number 3 is to take your arms overhead. So this winds up being more dynamic in the shoulders. Of course, people who do Ashtanga a lot, you can also take reverse namaste. I'm not going to demonstrate it. But you can round your spine. And there's several more breaths here. Drive your feet through the floor. You can round your spine, breathe in as much as you can. Okay. And we're gonna go from this pose directly into revolve triangle. So from here, release your arms, left hand can go to the floor or to the block, doesn't matter which, but you want your hand in a place where you can arch your back a little bit and lengthen your spine. And then from here, right arm out to the right, and you're gonna roll your belly up toward the ceiling as much as you can. Okay? So as you inhale, so it's all the work in pyramid. You drive your feet through the floor, slide your right hip back, lungs forward, and now we're adding a twist instead of a forward fold. So highly dynamic pose. Breathe into this as much as you can. And twice more. Breath in. Big exhale. And one last time, breathe in. Okay, great. And then from there, you can take, you can de-rotate right hand to hip and move the block out of the way. Inhale, come all the way up, and you can lean over your front foot, drive your front foot through the floor, and come up to your standing posture, Dandasana, or Tadasana. All right. Good, and then from here, left foot stays forward. Please step your right foot back, okay? And you bend your front knee, turn your hips toward the top of the mat, okay? The tendency is for the hips to be turning out to the right, so there's a counterclockwise rotation here. And then it's like you're taking your upper thigh back, lungs forward, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And right hand can go to block or to the floor. Left hand to hip, just to coax that left hip back a little, okay? And I'm gonna turn around for demonstration purposes, but you don't have to, okay? So tendency is for the hip to kind of bunch forward and out. Draw your hips to the right a little bit and back. Left hip slides back. Inhale here. You kind of stay here. If you'd like to round your spine, you can. Hands to floor is another option. Interlace your fingers and you can bring your arms overhead is another option. If you know the reverse namaste, prayer hands together behind you, you could do that. But otherwise, it's a good wringing out of shoulders and a big stretch along the left dorsal line. Drive your feet in through the floor and breathe as much as you can. Forward folds are one way that challenge the breath. Okay, great. And then from here you can release right hand to floor or up to the block. What that allows you to do is lengthen the spine. Left hip still goes back, lungs forward, and then revolve triangle. You're gonna roll your navel to the left. Left arm reaches up toward the ceiling by virtue of rolling your navel up. So it doesn't matter how far back this arm gets, like this is not powerful necessarily. Rolling the navel up is powerful because that invites more stira in the legs, more sturdiness in the legs. Inhale, you lengthen your lungs forward. Exhale, you turn right lung underneath left lung. And twists are another powerful breath strengthener. So there's 3 or 4 more breaths here. Okay, great. And then from here, you're going to de-rotate. Bend your front knee a little bit. You can move the block out of the way. And then inhale, you drive your feet down, come all the way up. And then take the weight over your front foot so you can drive it through the floor and step up into Tadasana. And take a breath there. Breathe in. And exhale. Okay, step out to the sides. 2 more variations of the wide-legged forward folds, because that was even more asymmetric. I like to come back to midline. So feet comfortably wide. Bend your knees a little bit, sitting bones back, take a deep breath in, and exhale, we're gonna forward fold. Come halfway down, and from here, this option is sort of like my own, not my own, but it's like not official Ashtanga, none of this is really. But you're gonna take the thighs, and you, with the power of your hands, roll from outer thigh to inner thigh, and you're trying to roll the skin and your quads from outer to inner, and then from there you forward fold. So this is a manual adjustment to your flesh, trying to roll the flesh from outer thigh to inner thigh. For me, that gives this broadening and lengthening not only of the outer hamstrings, but of the IT bands, and you may also feel a stretch in outer quads. There's also an arm strength challenge. Shoulder blades can stay drawn in. And you can round your spine as much as you want, but really it's about rolling the outer thighs skin from outer to inner. And then you drive your feet down, lift your inner thighs up toward the ceiling. And there's several more breaths here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. When you think you're done exhaling, exhale even more. So the breath gets bigger as we practice. Okay, and then from there, bend your knees. Inhale, come part way up. And instead of hands on hips, you can either interlace your fingers behind you, or if you know the reverse namaste, you can do that as well. But officially for this practice, you can just interlace your fingers and take your arms up overhead and toward the floor. Okay, so you drive your feet down. The feet are the only thing on the floor, so this does become a little bit more of a balance challenge and a proprioceptive challenge of where you are in space. You can squeeze your shoulder blades in. And as you drive your feet through the floor, lift your inner thighs up toward the ceiling. So remember, primary series deals with a lot of forward folds. Hamstrings, sacrum's a big component of that. And twice more here. Take a deep breath in. Big exhale. And breath in. Okay, great. Hands onto hips. You bend your knees a little bit. Inhale, come all the way back up. All right, and then bend your knees a little bit. Step up to the top of the mat. All right, and then feet next to one another, close in Tadasana. We're going to reach the arms up overhead. Take a huge inhale here. That's your in-breath. Exhale, dip down into chair. So, chair, in our sun salutations, we went way far down. Here, we're going to bring them up a little bit for more quad work. And then from here, if you're able to, you're going to transfer your weight to your right foot. And as gracefully as you can, you're going to step your left foot back into warrior one. So you drive your right foot down, and from here, heel goes back, plant your outer heel, and then from there, once your back foot's down, you can then distribute the weight between your feet and lift your lungs up. So now we're in warrior one. All right, drive both feet through the floor. Like in pyramid, the hips want to turn to the left, so they're going to counter-rotate your hips. So the hips are trying to point toward the front of the mat. They don't have to be there, they're just rotating in that direction. And you lift your lungs up for extra strength, for extra length along the front side of your spine. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale. And one last time, take a deep breath in. Okay, great. And then from here, you reach your arms forward. All the weight's in the front foot. See if you can drive your front foot through the floor and gracefully or otherwise get back in chair pose. So we're in chair pose again, symmetric. All right, both feet drive down. Take a deep breath in. And then you transfer the weight into your left foot. Drive your left foot through the floor. And then once you don't need your right leg anymore, you're going to slide it back, gracefully or otherwise, drive your heel down. And now that both feet are on the ground, you can distribute the weight, center of gravity is in between them, and you skyrocket your lungs. This is a lot of work, so a lot of breath follows. Inhale, exhale. There's counterclockwise rotation of your hips. You drive your feet through the floor, and the more you can engage your legs, the lighter your lungs can be. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale. Take a big exhale. And one last time. Breathe in. Okay, and then weight transfers over your front foot. Drive your front foot through the floor. Come back into chair pose. Now you can sink down even lower. And then inhale, press your hips forward to come up. All right. Very good. From here, take a deep breath in, arms sweep up overhead. And exhale, you bend your knees, forward fold. And we're going to pause here. So this is option number 1, is hands on shins. Okay? Option number 2, you take your peace fingers, wrap your fingers around your toes, and just like we did in the wide-legged forward fold, you can take your elbows in opposite directions. Okay, so that's option number 2 already. Option number 3, if it makes sense, you can slide your hands underneath your feet. Now this is going to give you a little bit more calf stretch, a lot more calf stretch. This also might feel a little bit odd for your wrists, so make sure everything feels okay. And as you press your feet down, you lift your inner thighs up, exhale around your spine. So I'm concluding the standing sequence with a longer hold here. This initially came up at the top of the sequence, but this is such a great and global forward fold that I kind of feel like we need to prep everything first. So enjoy this very global dorsal line stretch. Back of legs, low back, mid back. And even though it's a static posture, you can breathe a lot. Very good. Take a deep breath in. Okay, great. And then from there, you can plant your hands and step back into downward facing dog. Now that gives the spine a lot of length along the front of it. Upper thighs lift up toward the ceiling. And after all that powerful work with the quads in chair pose and warrior 1, you should feel your quads more engageable. Engage your quads, lift your quads up, 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 and back. And all that's in the service of getting a nice long dorsal line stretch. Heels press back, so it's calves, hamstrings. All right, very good. Take a deep breath in. Okay, and then exhale. Ashtangis like to jump through. I typically don't do that, but if you'd like to, you can swing through like that. Okay, and we're in Dandasana. So this is basically the seated equivalent of mountain pose. So this is a good midline practice here. So upper thighs toward the floor, lift your lungs up toward the ceiling. And I like keeping a little bit of a buzz in the back of my legs by pressing, rather than lock my knees out, I keep my heels down. So the heels press down, upper thighs press down, and there's a bit of buoyancy behind your knees, so we're not like pancaking the back of the knees into the floor. All right, so we're lengthening up. Take a deep breath in, and then from here, place your left foot into inner right thigh. So this is Janu Shirshasana. Inhale, you're lengthening. You twist the belly to the right, and exhale, you reach forward, and now we're going to forward fold down our right side. Okay, so we did a lot of heat building already. Now we get a chance to breathe into that heat building and take longer holds to let the pose work on you. It doesn't mean this is yin. There's still a lot of activity in legs. Heel presses down, upper thigh presses down, quad remains engaged. And there's an active, you can draw your navel in, rounding your spine. There's that. Just like a couple variations we did in our arms earlier, you can take your elbows out to the sides, and that widens your shoulder blades, gives you more pronounced stretch along the back body. Another couple breaths here. Okay, great. And then make your way back up. And then extend both legs into Dandasana. Okay, you can either stay here for a couple breaths. If you'd like, you can lean back, cross shins, and press your hands into the floor for a bit of a core engagement, core tightening. Okay, you lift, you come back down, and Dandasana. Left leg forward. This time, right foot comes into inner thigh. Arch your back a bit, roll belly to your left, and then you fold down your left leg. Okay, so hands can be on shin, foot, whatever works for you. Okay? The leg remains active, so your left heel presses down, upper thigh presses down. Leg remains supportive, and you can draw your navel in to round your spine. You can also send your elbows out to lengthen the back of your torso, not only vertically, but also horizontally. And then there's several breaths here. So there still is a lot of collection. The legs are engaged, abdominals are engaged, arms go wide. And it's all in the service of letting the pose do the work on the back body. And there's 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale, breath in, and big exhale. Okay, great. And then you use your back body to arrive upright, extend both legs into Dandasana, and hold here as if you were in mountain pose. And also, if you'd like, you can cross shins, lean back, and then press your hands down, lift up for a moment, and then you come back down and re-extend. Okay, and Janu Shirshasana was option number 1. Half lotus pose is option number 2. So Janu is left foot to right thigh. Half lotus, you can start with your left shin on top of the right thigh, and we're going to forward fold. If this makes sense for you, and we prep the arms this way in our standing postures, but if you'd like to bring your heel a little further in, reach your left arm around and hold your left foot. Okay, that's a way to go. And then you're going to lengthen out your navel, roll your navel to the right, and then fold down your right leg. Okay? But if that, listen to your knee on this one. If this doesn't work, this is completely fine, as well as Janu Shirshasana. Okay? So whether you're in a lotus or Janu Shirshasana, you can fold down your right leg, and either one hand's on your foot or 2 hands are on your feet. You can send your elbows out to the sides, round your spine, and breathe as much as you can into your back body. Okay, great. And then from here you can let go of your lotus. Back body brings you up, and you can take either Dandasana. You can also lean back, cross your shins, press your hands through the floor, and it's like doing like a big crunch. You crunch and lift, and then you sit back down, re-extend your legs. And then half bound lotus, Ardha Baddha Padma Paschimottanasana on the other side. Right foot either comes into this one like we did, or shin on top, or ankle in further, and you can wrap your right arm around. Okay? Not necessary, it's just another way of doing this. But regardless of what you're doing, you're going to roll your navel to the left and fold down your left leg. So if the lotus isn't available, of course you're just taking shin on thigh and forward folding, or taking foot into inner thigh and forward folding. Whatever works for you. But this is all in the service of working the back body. So legs are engaged. These binds help encourage the engagement. Breathe in the back body another few times here. Okay, great. And then from there, you come back up. You can release the leg. Extend both legs forward. And once again, either take a couple breaths in downward facing dog, work on engaging the legs, lengthening up through spine. If you'd like to do that crunch practice, you cross shins, press your hands down, lift, and sit back down. All right, very good. Now slide your sitting bones back, please. Lengthen up through navel. And then exhale, we're going to reach forward in the Paschimottanasana. So first dual leg stretch since our standing sequence. So Both legs are going to feel it. Press both heels down, upper thighs press down, a little bit of buoyancy in your legs. And you can send your elbows out to the sides. Peace fingers, like we did in our standing posture, you can use that as well. And even though this might be toward the end of your range of motion, see if you can keep the engagement. When we get to the end of our range of motion, we tend to relax. Okay? See if you can keep that stability in the posture. Not to pull yourself more aggressively forward, but just to keep some stability where you are. So you don't want to engage to yank. You just want to engage to be there, to be present, and then you breathe into it. And there's several breaths here. Okay, great. And then from there, you make your way back up into Dandasana. Okay, so now let's do a couple poses from what's called the Marichyasana series. These are more about getting the guts to move around, and it's really about sort of squeezing and releasing. I see it as a very lymphatic practice. So you're going to keep your right foot forward, and please take your left foot flat to the floor. Pick it out to the side a little bit. And what you're going to do is you're going to reach forward down your right leg, and this is option number 1, to reach down your leg as you round your spine. You're not going to squeeze your leg into your side body. Option number 2, you can take your hands by your sides, and I call this like the sort of Spider-Man sort of stance, like kind of low to the ground. You can use your hands to help guide your left shin back and almost pivot your heart forward. So this is additional abdominal pressure. This is option number 2. Option number 3, if you have it in your arms, you can interlace your fingers behind you and you sort of squeeze, engage, and forward fold. If you can't hold finger to finger, you can always use a strap behind you. Put the strap behind you, grab the strap, and hold the strap like that. Okay? But not necessary to bind. But you're going to forward fold down your right leg a few more times, this time squeezing inward for some lymphatic movement, blood movement, so very like fluid body practice here. 2 more breaths. Take a big inhale, big exhale. Take a deep breath in, big exhale. Okay, great. And then you come back up, re-lengthen legs. If you'd like that squeeze between sides, you can lean back, squeeze in, press down, and then release. Now for Marichyasana A on the other side, left foot stays forward, right foot comes up, and I usually take the foot out to the side. From here, option number 1 is you reach down with just your right hand, and this leg squeezes in. So it's all about the squeezing. It's all about the lymphatics. Inhale here, you can forward fold. This is option number 1, forward folding. Option number 2, you can take the sort of Spider-Man crouch and you round your spine this way. Legs are still squeezing inward, rounding your spine. Active arms to try to get your lungs forward. This is engagement here. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is you bind and squeeze further. And you can bind either hand to hand, or you can use a strap to bridge the gap. Okay? But regardless of what you're doing, you're using the power of all these engagements to squeeze our fluid systems, squeeze our guts, squeeze blood around, squeeze our lymphatics around. And then the breath work helps all that too. So deep inhales and exhales here. And twice more. Okay, great. And then from there, you come back up. You take a Dandasana. Lengthen up your spine. If you'd like to squeeze, you cross shins, press your hands down, lift for a moment, and you come back down, legs to the floor. Okay, and Marichiasana C. From here, left leg stays straight. This time bring your right foot forward first. Now you're going to inhale, lengthen up through navel, and exhale, twist to your right. So right hand can go behind you, left hand around knee. Inhale, you arch your back, exhale, twist. Okay, so this is another way to wring out our system. Now, if it feels like you can squeeze and wring while doing this, you can also take your thigh, your arm around the thigh and bind like that. My torso is too long to do that. So I stick with the forearm wraps around, I hug it in, and I lengthen and I twist. And I wring out that way. But if you know the bind on this one, go ahead and take it. Regardless of what you're doing, several deep breaths here. And one last time, breath in. And exhale. From there, you release. Both legs extend forward. And then from here, you take your left foot to the floor. Bring it in. And then inhale, lengthen. Exhale is twist to the left. So I'm going to switch sides for demonstration purposes, but you don't have to. You're just twisting past your thigh. Again, if you know the bind, that's bringing your arm in front of you and wrapping it around. Okay. My torso is too high. My arm is like way above this, so I can't lengthen and do that. So I keep here. If you can bind, go ahead. Enjoy the squeezing, that lymphatic pressure. Inhale, you lengthen. Exhale, you twist. And then, of course, the blood and the lymph get moved around a lot by your breathing. So be sure to take some deep inhales and exhales here. And a couple more breaths here. Okay, great. And then from there, you release, extend both legs forward, and then exhale, we're going to forward fold into our Paschimottanasana again. So you inhale, lengthen, exhale, you reach forward, and now our Paschimottanasana, squeeze your abdomen, and this engagement, the tendency is for when we're going toward the end of our range of motion is to either A, just let go, or B, use our strength to pull us further forward. And I think we can choose a third option to maintain the pose and engage. So we're not pulling ourselves further forward in this pose, we're also not relaxing. It's this engagement work toward the end of our range of motion. Our nervous system doesn't have a lot of experience engaging here because we are at the end of our range. This is good work for range of motion activation. This is good work to find stability toward the ends of our ranges. So you pause here and you breathe several times, and using your engagements not to pull you further, but to maintain your position with more acumen and more stability. So a couple more breaths here. Okay, great. And then from there, you come back up. All right, Dandasana, and as a sort of cleanse of all that squeezing, it's almost like an unsqueezing of the body, an expansion of the body. I want to take fish pose, Marichi, and you're going to take your elbows down. The variation I'm going to do that's different from the Ashtanga version is instead of your legs up, you're going to place your feet together and knees go wide. because this also helps expand the lymphatic centers in our inner thighs. So elbows toward the floor, and you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades in to lift your heart. You're going to press your knees down toward the floor to expand lower abdomen, and you can either keep your head forward, or you can look up, or you can look back. But deep breath into belly as well as into heart center. And there's several breaths here. Okay, and if you're not already doing it, you look forward, you bring your knees together, and you lift back up into Dandasana. And from here, let's lie on the back, on the floor, right leg up in the air, in Supta Pada 1. All right, so right leg up in the air, hold the strap, both hands. All right, and we did a lot of activation today. We did a lot of forward folds, of course. We did a lot of wringing out, followed by fish was an expansion. And now we get a chance to start to tone down the practice, cool us down a little bit before final relaxation, which is coming very soon. So there's a couple breaths here. And notice a gentle engagement through legs, gentle engagement through spine. That's not expanding or it's not contracting, it's just, it's stable, present. Exhale, bend your right knee, switch legs. And left heel up, right heel forward. And of course there is a stretch in your left leg. But notice the general countenance of your breathing as it slows down a bit. You can take more subtle breath. Your energy can be more subtle here. It doesn't have to be as obvious as it was in our practice today. So subtle engagements, subtle breath. And that invites, of course, subtle body awareness. And one more breath with left leg up. Okay, and then you can release your left leg. Please lift your hips, and you're going to take the block underneath your hips. Option number 1 is to stay here with feet flat on the ground, breathe into abdomen. So for bridge pose, if you'd like, you can also lift your legs up in the air for Viparita Karani. So in any case, this is a gentle inversion. And you're breathing into belly. And notice your subtle body energy. As we started this practice, it was very obvious. It was obvious heat building with our sun salutations. The standing practices brought that obvious energy into some still postures. Our seated poses became more subtle. And these last couple postures are more subtle still. All right. So if your legs are up in the air, you place them on the floor, meet everybody else in bridge pose, and you engage your glutes a little, lift your hips, block out of the way, and you lower your hips to the ground, extend your legs forward into Shavasana. So our final relaxation pose, it's as subtle as we can make it. Everything finally relaxes as completely as we can. So we built up a ton of heat today, both through movement, very extended movement series. There's some powerful standing practices, powerful seated practices. Now invite your body to sort of use that heat to sort of soak itself downward. It's like if you warm up coconut oil, it softens into its jar. Any edges soften down. Imagine your body in the same way. And as your body softens into the floor, the natural impulse is to also relax your concentration. If that happens and you start thinking of other things, notice that you're thinking of things and allow those thoughts to melt and soften as well. And see if you can keep a state of just noticing. Not engaging with any thought, but just noticing. Okay. Very good. So from here, guide your awareness to your breathing. And start taking some gently deeper inhales, gently deeper exhales. Breathe through your hips, down your legs, into your feet. Breathe through your shoulders, down your arms, into your palms. And breathe into your brain, along inside skull. And exhale down your face. Very good, and please draw both knees in together. Give your knees a good hug, a bit of a squeeze. And then exhale, you can roll over to one side. Pause on your side for a moment. Notice how it feels to move after a period of stillness. All right, very good. And then you can make your way up to seated. Cross-legged or otherwise. And allow your legs to anchor down, your sitting bones to anchor down. And notice any gentle updraft you might have along the front side of your spine. Notice with subtle awareness how your interior landscape feels. hopefully you can take that subtle awareness with you throughout your day. All right. Thank you so much. I hope that was fun. It was definitely very, very much like a workout. A lot of strength building, but hopefully there is some subtle aspects to that as well that you appreciated. Thank you so much. Namaste.